Pedro Alonso López, the Monster of the Andes. Pedro Alonso López, known as the Monster of the Andes, is one of the most prolific and notorious serial killers in history. He is believed to have murdered over 300 young girls across Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru during the 1970s and early 1980s. López's brutal crimes and his subsequent escape from justice have left an indelible mark on the history of criminal investigations in South America. Background: Pedro Alonso López. Born October 8, 1948, in Santa Isabel, Colombia. Early life: López had a traumatic and violent childhood. He was one of 13 children, and his mother was a prostitute. López claimed that he was sexually abused by a teacher at the age of 8 and later ran away from home. Living on the streets, he was further abused and eventually joined a gang of street children. Early criminal activity: López began his criminal activities as a thief and was imprisoned multiple times. During one imprisonment, he claimed to have been brutally gang-raped by other inmates, leading him to kill 3 of his attackers. The murders. Modus operandi. Target: López primarily targeted young girls between the ages of 8 and 12. He would lure them away from markets or other public places, often offering them small gifts or candy. Method: after gaining their trust, López would take his victims to secluded areas where he would rape and strangle them. He often buried their bodies in shallow graves. Extent of the crimes. Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru: López claimed to have murdered over 100 girls in each of these countries. His killing spree went largely unnoticed due to the transient nature of his victims, many of whom came from impoverished and marginalized communities. Capture and confession. Arrest in Ecuador. 1980, López was arrested in Ecuador when an attempted abduction went wrong. The intended victim's family and community members intervened, leading to his capture by the police. Confession: while in custody, López initially denied any wrongdoing but later confessed to killing over 300 young girls. He led police to several grave sites where the remains of some of his victims were found, corroborating his claims. Trial and imprisonment. Trial. Conviction: López was convicted of 110 murders in Ecuador, although he claimed to have killed many more. His trial and conviction were based on the evidence found at the grave sites he led authorities to and his detailed confessions. Imprisonment. Ecuador: López was sentenced to life in prison in Ecuador. However, due to Ecuador's legal system, he served the maximum sentence at the time, which was 16 years. Release and deportation. In 1994, López was released from prison for good behavior after serving 14 years. He was deported to Colombia, where he was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Release from psychiatric hospital. 1998, López was released from the psychiatric hospital after being declared sane. His release sparked outrage and fear, as he disappeared shortly afterward. Ongoing mystery. Current whereabouts. Disappearance. Since his release in 1998, López's whereabouts have remained unknown. There have been rumors and unconfirmed sightings, but no concrete evidence of his activities or location has emerged. Continued threat. López's disappearance has led to speculation that he may have resumed his killing spree, but no verifiable cases have been linked to him since his release. Impact and legacy. Public fear. López's crimes and his subsequent release have left a legacy of fear and outrage in South America. His case highlighted significant flaws in the criminal justice systems of the countries involved, particularly regarding the handling of serial killers and the protection of vulnerable populations. Media coverage. The case has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and articles, exploring the depths of López's depravity and the broader implications of his crimes. Criminal profiling. López's case has been studied extensively in the fields of criminal psychology and profiling. His ability to evade capture for so long and the sheer number of his victims make him a subject of intense interest for criminologists and law enforcement professionals.